Hi everybody. So this is part 2 of my December haul. Basically, it's a bunch of books that I got off Amazon, so I'm just going to quickly review those for you. So you can see what I got. So first, I got the Llewellyns Witches Date Book for 2016, and as usual it has, the information. They always have information for each moon, and they usually have recipes and information for each Sabbat, and then just pictures. So yep, date book. Oh yeah, and then also, just so if you don't know about the date book, so this is kind of what it looks like for each month. Basically, it'll have the moon phase, what quarter of the phase you're in, like first, second, third quarter of the moon, what astrological sign the moon is in. It'll give you when the moon enters a new sign, when the moon is in void of course. Gives you the color of the day. It'll give you information about whether it's like a good day to harvest or plant. And when it tells you about when the moon enters different astrological signs and what time. Just checking if I missed anything. Just a second. Each page not every section has everything on it. Well, anyways, they also give you information right here. So certain days they'll tell you when, what days of Sabbath or other holidays, or information like this one says, oil of amber is good for balance, harmony, inspiration, and purification. So they just give you some little tidbits of information. Everything is in Eastern Daylight Time, so you just gotta change like the void of course and everything, times. You just gotta change it to your time zone. Yeah, so they also have articles in the front. I think they usually have like 4 or 5 articles. This one has 5 articles. And of course they give you how to read everything in this date book, how to use it. So yep. They also have a bunch of others like moon sign, sun sign, magical almanac. Another one that I'll show you. I have bought the magical almanacs in the past, but really the only difference with the magical almanacs is that they give you an incense for the day, and there's more articles. The almanac split up by the 4 elements, and there's different articles and like different magic articles about each element. Just lots of articles about that element, just anything really, food, drinks, or magic or spells or rituals. And incense, and oh my gosh, I know there's something else. There's like one other thing that the almanac has, the date book doesn't, but there's other books in the Llewellyn series that give that information. The sun book is a message for each month of the year for whatever astrological sun sign you have. You could also probably use it for your moon sign, rising sun, if you wanted to read that information too. The moon sign has a calendar and information about the moons and recipes, and it gives you lots of gardening tips and like when to garden, when to plant, when to harvest. So really revolves around kind of like a farmer's almanac with the gardening information from what I've seen. Trying to think of if there's any other ones. They always have a Llewellyn calendar for each year, and they also have an astrological calendar. So yeah. So the other one that I got because I wanted to see what it was like is Llewellyn's 2016 Witches Spell a Day Almanac. holidays and lore, spells and rituals, and meditation. This actually is a pretty interesting book. It's split up by each month, and they have an index in the front to like a key, and then every single spell and what page, what month. It's what page it's on for each month. But basically, this is what it looks like. Let me just go to a section. So they'll start off with, like June, they'll start off with a little information about June. And then each one looks like this. So they'll give you the day and what day it is in the week. These little symbols represent something from the key. I think that means like accomplishments and goals. And then they have, sorry, and they have the phase, what quarter of the moon, astrological sign the moon's in, when the moon changes astrological signs, when it's going to change quarters and what time, a color of the day, and an incense of the day. So the spell book does give you the color like the date book, and it also gives you incense like the almanac. When they have a spell, they give you a spell from different authors and pagans, witches, people, and each day has a spell that you can do relating to like the energies of that day. And like for June 27th, it's Jupiter Stator. Releasing that summertime sadness is like for June 28th is, yeah, releasing summertime sadness. Wednesday, June 29th is Vesta's house blessing. So you're probably not going to do every single spell in here, and I wouldn't really advise doing a spell a day, but there's rituals and spells and crafts and activities, and you can just, I like to look at each one during the week, so I like to look at it weekly, on a weekly basis, and see if there's any of them that I would want to do. So anyways, that's cool. Okay, so another book that I got, let's see. Sorry, one sec. I thought about something and I was like, nope. Let me just pull some of these out. Sorry, just one sec. Okay, just so I can put them back. Okay, so the next book that I got is Sabbats and Isbits for Solitaries and Covens, A Year of Its Ritual by Sandra Keynes. And this is, okay, my hair is bothering me, so, okay, this is, basically, she has a ritual for each Sabbat and each Isbit. And I was just quickly glancing through it when I first got it. I'll have to look at each ritual, but basically, the only downside about the book is that she only gives one ritual for the Sabbat and for the Isbit. So instead of, like, for me, I like to have a couple of like rituals that I perform for each Sabbat, and she has like the intro for the ritual, calling the quarters, and then the closing, casting circle, calling the quarters, and then closing. She repeats it, the same thing she repeats for every single ritual, which I kind of feel is redundant. And then she has a short little ritual for each Sabbat and Isbit. The only interesting thing, like the good thing about the book, is that she gives you a group ritual and a solitary ritual. Now, the solitary ritual seems to be a shorter version of the group ritual, so they're not different. I would change that too, but she gives you both, so she gives you both structures. And she gives you preparation, stuff for preparation and stuff for themes of the Sabbat, things that you could incorporate. And she gives you a background for the ritual. So, like, she'll talk about Beltan, talk about the Sabbat, what it represents from her perspective. She gives you a background for the ritual, and then themes, and then preparation, and then she goes into group ritual, casting the circle, calling the quarters. This is the section where you would put in the background, where you'd read that background section. And then closing, and then she has, solo ritual, casting the circle, calling the 4 directions, the ceremony portion, and then closing. So as you can see, calling the quarters ends right here, and then this is the ritual, and then right here is the closing. So it's a very short ritual. It's like a page. So that was just another little tip that I had, was that each ritual was really just like a page. And she does that for the Isbits as well. She does give some more background information for the Isbits. So like for April, she'll talk about the energies of April, other names for the moon, information regarding the Celtic tree calendar, then background for the ritual, and then she'll give you the themes and the preparation, and then the group ritual, casting the circle, calling the quarters. Then she has like the ritual with the background information, a quick little ritual, closing, casting a circle, calling the quarters for the solo ritual. The background with this short little ritual. Actually, the background is kind of the short little ritual, and then the closing. Then we go into the next one. Basically, for the Isbits, it looks like she tells you, like for the April Isbit, she says, read the background information, and then you're basically singing and dancing, and you're dancing around, creating energy, and saying this little like affirmation or chant, and then play some music and such, and yeah, just like kind of do your chant with the energy, and then afterwards listen to some relaxing music and ground your energy. So again, I'm gonna look through it. If anything, the background information, the other extra information for the Isbits and Sabbats, the themes and preparation portion, and the rituals that she does are interesting. I think if you're a beginner, this might be a really quick and simple, easy book for you to read. That's not what I meant to say. This will be a really good book for you if you're a beginner because it's short and sweet. So it's really easy to comprehend. The rituals are really short, so if you don't have that much time, you're just getting into it. I know when I first started, I didn't really want to do full-blown rituals, so this is a really good book, and it has Sabbats and Isbits in this book, and group and solitary rituals. So this book is packed full of information. I wish it was a little bit longer, more in depth, but it is what it says it is. Okay. The next. Okay, I'm going to show these off. So the next book that I got is Everyday Moon Magic by Dorothy Morrison, Spells and Rituals for Abundant Living. And I have her Everyday Magic book, which is freaking amazing. Basically, it's a bunch of spells and rituals and some craft ideas and activities for all different types of intentions. And I love Dorothy Morrison because the way that she does magic, I've said this before, but the way that she does magic, the way that she performs and does her rituals is exactly how I do them. She uses a lot of crystals and herbs and does lots of like herbal pouches and bags and candle spells, and that's really right up my alley with how I do things. I love this book. This is amazing. I'm definitely going to get her Everyday Sun Magic book. I'm really curious on that book because I'm curious if she goes into the Sabbats with that one, because this one goes into the Isbits as well. So this one is chock full of information. Okay, let's see. So the first section kind of goes into talking about the moon and lunar energies and how it relates in folklore and to women and superstitions and just a lot of like background information about the moon in history. Then she goes into the modern aspects of working with the moon, like how you'd work with it for psychic abilities and intuition and kind of the modern pagan new age take on the moon and lunar energies. She talks about each phase of the moon and just background information about it. What I really like though is she also has occasional moon phase magic, and she talks about the black moon and the blue moon. Now she says that the blue moon is the third full moon to rise when 4 full moons appear within the same season. So she's saying that within a season, and a season is about 3 months, that if there's a 4th full moon, the 3rd full moon in that 4 full moon, so there's 3 months and each month has a full moon, the 3rd full moon would be the blue moon. I've always been told that if there's a 2nd full moon in the month that it's a blue moon. So basically the same concept. And she talks about blue moons, but she also talks about black moons. And black moons are a second dark or new moon in the month. So same concept with the blue moon, except it's the second the second dark or new moon in the month. And that was really interesting. We had the blue moon concept, so the black moon concept was really interesting. Write that down, incorporate those ideas. And she has different magical intentions and ways that you would work with the black and blue moon. Then she goes into full moon magic, and that section actually is information for each of the moons of the month. So the oak moon, the storm moon, the hare moon, the chaste moon, the flower moon. So she goes into information for each moon of the month. And she has the thematic energy, the magical efforts, and invocation, then circle ideas and party ideas. The circle ideas are kind of like solitary work ideas, but they also can just be ideas you can incorporate into your circle or group gatherings. And the party ideas are geared more towards if you're going to have a party or a big gathering, things you can do for celebrating the Ispit or the moon in a party setting, but you also can incorporate some of the party ideas into like your solitary practice. And it kind of seems like the circle ideas, in a group mindset, the circle ideas could kind of be what you would do during ritual, during the spiritual side. And sorry, my cats are playing / chasing each other. And then the party ideas can be things you would do during, like, when you have activities or before your ritual or after the ritual, like when you're having a potluck or things, that kind of time. So really cool. So she does that for every single moon. Okay, and then she talks about the celestial connection, and she talks about when the moon is in a certain astrological sign, talks about magical working, mundane events, and gardening tips for each moon of when the moon is in an astrological sign. And I'll show you, like, that's the information for the storm moon information. This book is chock full of information. Then she goes into waxing moon, full moon, and waning moon. And these sections are spells. So she has certain magical intentions that you would do for the waxing moon, the full moon, the waning moon. And she has spells and rituals and crafts activities for magical intentions for each moon phase. So that's really cool. So this definitely is a book of moon magic. It has practically, I think, everything you'd want: the spells, the astrological connection, the monthly moons, information about moon phases, information about the moon and history, and just everything. This really, really cool book. I'm so happy. This book is amazing. If you had to buy, if you had to buy only a couple of books about moon magic, you're trying to figure out which ones to buy for like your Isfit rituals, I would buy this one, and I would buy probably, I think The Grandmother of Time and Grandmother of Moon are both really good books by Z Budapest. Okay, so the next one that I got is, I'm sorry, this video is going to be kind of long as well, but the next book I got is Moon Spells, How to Use the Phases of the Moon to Get What You Want by Diane Alquist. This is a really, really interesting book. She basically she has a really interesting take on magic and moon magic. So the first part is preparing your spell, like how to perform spells, working with the moon. Then she has adding magical enhancements like food and clothing and music to your moon rituals, the magical tools, all different tools and things you can add to enhance your magic. And then she goes into the spells: health, love, career, job, for women, for men, spirituality, and miscellaneous spells. And then she has a couple of appendixes about Chinese astrology, numerology, and Western astrology. And those are actually really interesting because she talks about what is Chinese astrology, and she talks about each of the Chinese zodiac animals and how it relates to your personality. And then she talks about numerology and what each number represents. She gives the personal interpretation, the general interpretation of the numbers. And she also tells you like how to figure out your number based on your name in numerology. And then she, of course, talks about the information about all the zodiac astrological signs, which you can use in relation to moon, when the moon is changing through the different astrological signs for your magic. So the spells are actually quite thorough. Like, for example, she has, okay. So what I like about what she does is the first part of the book, all those like enhancements and things I was talking about, she explains what each of them are and how and why you'd use them. And then when she comes to the spell, she actually puts that all together. So she actually kind of lays out the foundation for everything for you. So this spell is like attracting a lover. She gives you the necessary enhancements and magical tools you'd need. She talks about what candles you'd need, what formation. The formation is also really interesting, which is why I bought the book for the most part. She says that why should you just cast a circle? You should be able, you can cast any shape that you want, and the shape would represent like a geometric shape and the uses of that geometric shape, the intentions of the geometric shape, and just your interpretations of the shape. So she says you could cast a square, a triangle, a star. You don't have to just do a circle. That was interesting. So anyway, so she gives you her recommendations of items, tools, candles, what formation to use, what direction to face, what moon phase to work with for the spell, the day of the week, gemstones and incense, and music you could do. And then she gives you, here I'll show you what it looks like. And then she gives you, before you start your spell, an affirmation, and then how to perform the spell. And then, yeah, how to perform the spell is how you do the spell. So just really interesting. I'm going to keep looking through this book. Like, for example, on the formations, she talks about the square, and she gives you all the information about why and how you'd work with a square formation, what it represents. Really, 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 really interesting book. Chock-full information and just a different way of performing a moon ritual and performing spells. I really like all of the enhancements and tools that she suggests for each spell. She gives a lot of different like correspondence information for each spell, and I like that she lays out how she would do it, because some people are like, well, if you want to use a candle, just look up correspondences on love for like colors and figure it out yourself, which is fine, and you probably should do that, and that's fine. And I have developed my own correspondences, but it's nice to just see what someone else does. You don't have to agree with them, but it's just nice. I like her style. Okay, the next book is Gem Water: How to Prepare and Use More Than 130 Crystal Waters for Therapeutic Treatments by Michael Gedinger and Joachim Gobel. That's the cover, and then those are the authors. This is a tiny little book, like in comparison to the moon spells. It's a tiny little book. Okay, that's not a good comparison. In comparison to this book, which is kind of a basic, style book, it's pretty small. So sorry. It's pretty small, and it's tiny, but it's chock full of information. Oh my gosh, I love this book. It gives you gem water application, how to prepare gem water, how to prepare drinking water, water for healing, the quality of the water, the crystals you'd use, making the gem water, preparation, checklist, cleansing, the water in the containers you'd use, how to prepare it, how to decant it, how to store it, drying crystals, preparation methods, how to do directly in water, boiling method, evaporation, test tube method, transferring energy method, glass of water or crystal slices, crystal bowls, effects and applications, external use, internal application, quantity, intensity, frequency and dosages, reactions, restrictions, then gem water mixtures, just like gem water bath recipes, and yeah, just lots of information. I mean, yeah, just like drinking water and, checklist. It's really, really beautiful book too. How to prepare or decant. I don't know, it goes into like mixtures, do's and don'ts of like how to prepare a mixture, what mixtures to use. Then they have tried and tested gem water mixtures. So what the mixture's for, what crystals to use, preparation category, and pictures of the crystals you'd use. They have a bunch of those. They have information about the different crystals you use. They do give you a checklist of crystals that are toxic that you shouldn't use. And why. And a really cool section that I really liked was this one, gem water baths. So they give you different types of baths and what crystals to use for your baths. I thought that was a really cool section. So this book actually, honestly, again, chocked full. It's my word for the day. Chock full of information, because it gives you every type of gem water application method and how to do it, all the information, do's and don'ts, and everything you'd want to know about making gem water or crystal elixir water, whatever you want to call it, and recipes and crystals to use, and just a lot of information. So this is a really, really good book. It's small, but it's definitely worth it. Don't judge a book by its cover. Okay, so I have 4 more books, okay, and then we'll be done. These I'm going to go through pretty fast because I've already done, well, I'll show you what they are. Okay, so I got the Llewellyns Sabbat Essentials. I got Imulk, which is rituals, recipes, and lore for Bridget's Day. I got Yule, rituals, recipes, and lores for the winter solstice. And I got Ostara, rituals, recipes, and lore for the spring equinox. And I've already made a video on the Samhain one, and every single book, they're written by different authors. Like Ostara is written by Carrie Connor. Yule is written by Susan Pesnecker. And Imbolc is written by Carl F. Neal. So there's different styles of writing because there's different authors that write them. But they all have the same premise. So they all have the old ways of like the celebration, how to practice it, the new ways of doing things, spells and divination, all relating to the Sabbat, recipes and crafts, prayers and devotions, rituals of celebration. They always have a solitary ritual, a ritual for 2 people, and a ritual for 3 or more people. And then they have the correspondences for Imbolc, which goes into like gods and goddesses and keywords, colors, herbs, incense, crystals, animals, other holidays that are celebrated at that time. So these little books are just chock full of information for the Sabbats. I really actually love these books a lot. I think that if you're going to buy a book on the Sabbat, you don't want to be overwhelmed by information, but you want a book that gives you a lot of easily understandable, a lot of information about the Sabbat and all different avenues to go down just to really give you an overall view of the Sabbat. I would buy the Llewellyn Sabbat Essentials. Again, this is a new series by Llewellyn. They have an old series called, I think it's just called the Sabbat series, which was a bomb. And they decided to redo their Sabbat series. And this one is if you can see that, Sabbat Essentials. They should all look like this, just, different colors and Sabbats, but they should all look like that. And they're Sabbat Essentials books. So, and I love it that it's an individual book for each Sabbat. Chock full of information, individual book for each Sabbat. So, like I said, my Samhain, Intro to Samhain video, I already talked about the Samhain book, so you can look at that or buy them yourself, but they're really, really, really cool. So the last book that I have, which I'm actually really excited about because it was a lot more than I expected, I'm so happy, is Mixing Essential Oils for Magic, Aromatic Alchemy for Personal Blends by Sandra Keynes. Now, even though I wasn't too happy with Sandra Keynes' Year of Ritual book, because it wasn't what I was expecting, this one is more than I was expecting. Definitely worth it. It's a huge book. It's huge. And she goes into history. This is all about like essential oils. So she goes into the history of essential oils, how to get started with essential oils, different extraction methods. She does have a section on how to blend essential oils and how many drops you'd use based on the concentration of, like if you're using oil or water. And she gives you a nice little chart on blending and safety guidelines. Then she has how to blend based on botanical family, scent group, and perfume note. And basically, just trying to find that one little section. So this is like her dilution ratio chart for blending. The blending by botanical family goes by all the different Latin botanical families. And she talks about each family and the essential oils in each family. And then, where is that one section? Okay, yeah. So basically you can look at the chart for what oils work well together. So she has 3 ways of blending. So the first one is blending by botanical family, which is basically just blending oils together that are in the same botanical family. The next one is scent group, and she has the different scent groups. Now she says woody, spicy, resinous, floral, citrus, and herbaceous. I have heard people use camphorous, so she didn't add that one, and there might be some others that she's leaving out, but those are the ones that she considers to be the primary scent groups. And she gives you, a list of all the essential oils in those scent groups. Then she does a couple different ways of breaking up scent groups. So you can blend oils that are in each scent group, like all the woody scents would be blended together. You can do the good neighbor blending technique, which is based on this chart. The good neighbor is like floral is good with citrus, citrus is good with herbaceous. They would blend well together. And then she has the opposite group blending. And there's just those three opposites, but she says that floral and spicy or woody and floral would work well together as like opposing scents, but they still would blend well together. I'm still curious to like finish that out and do like herbaceous resinous, and then finishing the triangle and saying floral herbaceous, herbaceous spicy, woody resinous, resinous citrus, and citrus woody. I'm just curious to see if any of those would actually smell good for opposite scent groups. And then she gives you the tables of each scent group. And this table actually is a lot more interesting because she gives you each essential oil. So she gives you, like, this one is the woody scent group. So for the woody scent, she gives you each essential oil individually. And like first, this one's Atlas cedarwood. And then she gives you what other oils work well within the woody group with Atlas cedar, which would be amyris, cypress, and vetiver. Neighboring groups that would work well with Atlas cedar, which the spicy neighbor group would be cardamom and ginger, and the herbaceous group would be clary, sage, rosemary, or yarrow. And then the opposite group for woody is floral, and the floral scents that would work well with Atlas cedar is jasmine, lavender, and pomarosa. And she does that for each, scent group. And I'm sure you could extend that scent group, like I said, crossing those opposite scents. The last scent group is perfume note. Basically, she gives you a list. So this one is how most people blend essential oils, which is using the top, middle, base, or base notes. So top, middle, and base notes of essential oils. She gives you all the oils and what note they are. And some of them like blend, like some are a top, middle, and middle, top. Some are all five. Some of them aren't just in one note. Okay. I don't think she's working with every essential oil under the sun here. She's just working with the ones that she's familiar with. And some of these oils, I don't really consider them to be essential oils. So, just a side note. But what she does is, again, she has the charts, the charts. And she gives you the oils that blend well according to perfume note. So if you had a top note of, let's just do this one. So if your top note was lemon, the middle to top notes that would work well with lemon would be celery, pine, or tea tree. The middle notes would be coriander or lavender. The middle to base notes would be what she says lovage, which that's one that I don't really consider to be essential oil. And then a base note would be oak moss. And usually with the perfumery note, you would pick 3 to 5 essential oils, no more than 5, because that would be too many scents blending together, and some of them might get lost. So most people recommend you do no more than 5 and no less than like 2 or 3 for your oil blends, which that's why a lot of people use the notes way of making blends, because you can just pick a top, middle, and base note and then blend those together. But I really like this book that she gives you the charts. I like that she has three different blending techniques, and that she gives you charts and just gives you what oils work well with each other right then and there without you having to figure it out. Then she does another thing, which is talking about as above and so below oils. And this is kind of where the magic comes in, because she splits the oils into as above and so below oils. And so she says that the leaves, flowers, and fruits are as above, and the woods, barks, roots, and resins are so belows. And then in this chart, she says that the wood, bark, and roots are the earth element, leaves and flowers are air, and fruit and resins are water. And then the seeds are both as above and so below oil, and the seeds are fire. And she gives you charts for as above and so below oils, and the roots, the resins, the seeds, so she breaks them up that way. A list of the oils in each of those categories. And yeah, then she gives you information about the carrier oils and how to work with carrier oils. And then the next half of the book is oil profiles. And this, the first part is essential oil profiles, which is like basil, the botanical name, the family, also known as, information about basil, like some history about basil, and then the oil and blending information, the strength, the scent group, the perfume note, the plant part, and warnings about the oil, if there are any, the magical uses of the oils, and correspondences, the zodiac, solar system, elements, celebrations like Sabbats, goddesses, and gods that correspond to that oil. She does that for all the oils she talks about in this book, and she also, see, we're not even, oh my gosh, okay, then she also does it for the carrier oils, and the carrier oils have the same information. And then the last part of the book are these appendix, and she has based on magical intention, so all of the essential oils and carrier oils, if you want to work with like clairvoyancy. So basically just a bunch of magical intentions. Then she has essential oils and carrier oils for the elements, for the zodiac signs, for the planets or solar system, and for the Sabbats. That is the book. So really, really big book and a lot of information. Again, chock full. I love this book because I like how she gives you the 3 to 4 types of like how to blend. I like the essential oil and carrier oil profiles. I like that she added information about carrier oils because they're just as important. And yeah, I like all the different blending techniques and explain how to blend and just explain those different methods instead of just the note method. So this is what I was looking for. I was looking for a book that would actually tell me how to blend and how to work with essential oils to like make my own blends. And yeah, because the other books that I have either give essential oil information, like information about the oil, which is fine, and then they give you recipes, which is fine, and they give you some medicinal information, which is fine in those books. But I really wanted a book about how to blend. And then she also, of course, gives you the magical side of essential oils. I do have Magical Aromatherapy by Scott Cunningham, which is a good book. It is outdated based on information. But he still does have, he gives you essential oil profiles, and in the back he gives you different sections, like different magical intentions and what oils to use for those magical intentions, oils for like isbits and sabbats, and like sun and moon phases, and he does like days of the week, like oils he used for days of the week, oils he used for different planets and solar system. So he also does that in that book. And that's a small little pamphlet book, but it has a lot of information in it. But yeah, some of the information is kind of outdated. Because some of the oils that he says are harmful actually have been proven to not be harmful. They're just like hallucinogenics. And some of the oils that he says, I think he has like 1 or 2 oils in there that he says are safe, but we've proven now that they're not safe because in too high of a quantity they can be toxic, or they can be like hallucinogenics if you take them internally. So anyways, yeah, so those are all the books. Okay, we're done. Those are all the books I got. I just wanted to show you guys just a quick little review of those books, and in case you were interested in those books and what they were all about and what information they had in them. So I will probably buy more books as the year goes on. I usually what I do is I skim the books and I read the sections that I'm drawn to, and then when I feel like I'm done with the book, I just put it on the shelf. And I may come to it in the future and read more of it, but I just read what I want to read, and then I buy more books. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You don't have to read a book cover to cover. Oh my gosh. So, okay, thanks for watching, and have a good day and a good night. Blessed healing.